A big move out of Washington tonight. President Trump announces new guidelines to open the economy. It will happen in phases and it will happen slowly. Now, those guidelines revealed after a day of discussions with world leaders, members of Congress, and state governors. CBS's Skylar Henry is in Washington and joins us from outside the White House tonight with the very latest. Skylar.
Hey, Janelle, good evening to you. Well, the president just wrapped up his press conference a few moments ago, and CBS News has obtained audio from the president to the nation's governors, essentially saying that you are going to call your own shots when it comes to reopening their respective states. But the Trump administration, as you said, have put out a set of guidelines that are coming out in 3 phases, slowly getting Americans back to work.
President Trump released new guidelines intended to ease states into reopening.
America wants to be open, and Americans want to be open. A national shutdown is not a sustainable long-term solution.
The guidelines are divided into 3 phases. Phase 1 maintains strict mitigation, while phases 2 and 3 soften those restrictions. The president presented his plan in a conference call with state governors, who will decide when to implement each phase.
Governors will be empowered to tailor an approach that meets the diverse circumstances of their own states. Every state is very different.
The president also held calls with members of Congress, inviting dozens from both parties to join his task force for reopening the country.
President Trump lashed out at Democratic leaders on Twitter, accusing them of playing politics over the Paycheck Protection program, which he says is out of funds. The relief program guarantees forgivable loans to small businesses who keep employees on the payroll.
We need people to stay attached to the companies that they were working at prior to the COVID crisis.
Democratic leaders continue to negotiate additional funding with Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin, demanding fixes to the program and more money for states and hospitals.
Now, Montana Senator Steve Daines has been named to the Workforce Council to reopen the country, along with other members of congressional leadership. He said that he is looking to prioritize public health, workers, families, and other parts of small business. Janelle.
Now, Skylar, we're also hearing a little bit more about the president's discussion with governors today. There's a report in the Washington Post that mentions Governor Bullock, our Montana governor, asking the president about testing. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, what that's in reference to are those Abbott machines that are essentially rapid testing kits to get rapid results for the COVID-19 results, I should say, and that they essentially get your results in anywhere between 5 and 13 minutes. And of course, that is a highly sought after test nationwide. Now, last week, the White House said that they wanted to get those tests out to communities that are more rural and obviously areas in the South as well. But as you mentioned, Governor Bullock said that he has actually received the machines for the Abbott machine, but he hasn't received the testing kits for them. And obviously that goes into just the prioritization of who gets what test when and who determines how many tests are sent to each different state and each different community.
All right, Skylar Henry live from the White House tonight. Thank you so much. Montana Governor Steve Bullock quick to respond to the president today, saying early actions across the state helped slow the virus, which will allow us to resume our economy as much as normalcy as possible when the time is right. In fact, I have already begun discussions with public health and emergency response officials and business leaders in my state on a responsible, measured, and gradual path forward to do so. Wyoming Governor Mark Gordon has said return to normalcy will be long and a very slow process.